Hello and welcome to Bharata First. Please like and subscribe and do share our content so that more people get to know about Bharata First. Today we have a young author, Mr. Arjun Kadian with us. His book Land of Gods has been launched recently, which is basically history about Haryana and a lot more which is connected to the state. We'll be chatting about it in detail today. So I will take this opportunity to introduce our guest for today. So, Sir basically is an academic and policy professional based out of offices in Haryana and Delhi. Sir is a geologist by training and is a gold medalist from Delhi University for his master's. Sir is an alumnus of Observer Research Foundation, ORF. He has also traveled widely across the state of Haryana and knows the state very well. Well, this was a brief intro about him. I know that there are a lot more achievements to his name. Sorry, sir, I could not cover them all. Without any further ado, I'll start with my first question. And my first question is that, which is the most common one. So tell us about the book and what was the journey behind writing it?
Hi, thank you, Bharat, first for hosting me. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. And but I do need to correct you. I was not gold medalist at Delhi University. I was gold medalist at Kurukshetra. Here is the book that I wanted to tell you all about: Land of the Gods, the story of Haryana. This is my debut book. Uh, Quite rightly, you've asked a very sort of a pertinent question because this is what usually gets into. There are young writers, young authors who would want to probably write about their stories or new stories or new stories that are shaping the new India, but do want to understand the journey of how to essentially get into the process of writing a book, and how to motivate themselves, and finding the right trajectory. Uh, well, my journey sort of started pretty young. I mean, when I was a teenager, I knew that I wanted to work something for or do something on Haryana. Uh, I remember I basically wanted to be a civil servant, and to that end, I prepared for civil services as well. After my bachelor's in Delhi University and master's, I joined the PhD. During those days, I appeared for civil services interviews as well. Then became an academic. And however, throughout this entire journey, it was clear that I wanted to work for Haryana. The motivation in all those years was to work, or in some way or the other, give back to the society that has made me. Uh, the motivation was also my family. Motivation was there were elders in the family who were associated with public life in Haryana. Social activists, politicians, bureaucrats. My grandfather retired as an IAS officer, and his last posting was in Panipat. He was Deputy Commissioner Panipat, and in fact, that is the reason why for the longest time in my school years I was in Panipat. Uh, so basically, I wanted to work for Haryana, and that is how every now and then I would go out from my state for some education or some work opportunity, but then keep on coming back to the state. Uh, and all of that culminated into the thought process where I started thinking about, there is a serious vacuum of relevant information, history, culture, people talking about Haryana, which I needed, which I understood that needed timely correction. And that is how all of this process started. I started thinking about, I remember I was in the Chief Minister's office, Haryana, where I started thinking about, why not have something more concrete about Haryana? Why is it that one, if one has to find something, or learn more about Haryana, the only page you could land upon on internet was Wikipedia. And not many books had been written. In fact, but I don't in any way want to say that there have not been books written. There have been, when this product, this book essentially is the product of some remarkable works done by Professor K.C. Yadav, Professor S.C. Mittal, Dr. Buddha Prakash, among a host of like D.C. Verma, among a host of others who have for longest time in Haryana being associated with Kurukshetra University or associated with other history organizations in the state of Haryana, have produced some remarkable work, went through archival documents and produced literature, which has helped me also, to dig more information and finally bring this book together. So all of these people have essentially, when I was in the CM office, I started thinking about that. Let's start working on a book. Let's think about bringing a product. Let's think about having more information and more contemporary as well as historical corrections on Haryana should be made, and that is how it started. In fact, I remember during those early days, I was speaking to my mentor, guide, great friend, Shri Sanjeev Sanyal ji. Sanjeev ji has been critical in this entire journey, I would say. Sitting in his drawing room, we would discuss, so how do I go about the process? How do I, get the hang of writing? How do I, what are the things that I need to concentrate upon? What are the things that I should be focused upon to ensure that the reader is interested throughout the book? Because book writing is a very complicated process. It's way more different than article writing, because in articles you usually do 1,000 words or so, but in book you end up writing 1 lakh words, then you start chopping down. In fact, the first draft of the book, Land of the Gods, was around 1,35,000, 40,000 words, which I eventually had to chop down, to around 90,000 words. So, that process itself is a big one, a time-taking one, and a very loaded with research. You have to be investing your long hours into understanding the subject and ensuring that each word that you put in the book uh, is a fact, is historically referenced. It's properly referenced and can say face the test of time. And that is why all these conversations used to happen. And here we are, finding myself on a Tuesday talking to you about the book. So the journey has been very inspiring. The journey has been very gratifying. The journey has been very illuminating in the sense that I have had the opportunity to visit throughout Haryana multiple times, see places, visit villages, meet people, get into conversations with people of diverse kinds, from bureaucrats to villagers to young politicians to old ones who have spent their lives learning, talking, or being with people on the ground. So all of that has essentially culminated into this book that I now have with me. Not just this, there have been people from diverse spectrum. For example, I've met people or spoken to people who have not been to Haryana, or have just learned about Haryana from media reports or from other newspaper articles or any other videos or any sensational news. For example, people casually want to talk about Khap Panchayats without doing an adequate research on it. So thereby I've spoken to a lot of people who are, say, based out of Pondicherry, Bangalore, Bombay, UK, Canada, as to understand what they think about Haryana. In fact, I do credit in acknowledgements. I write about, yes, also thanks to the bunch of frugal Indians, lockdown socializing, Lopakis, and many others whose thoughts on Haryana have helped me understand how people look at the state. So all of those experiences, all of those learnings, all that research has led into taken me to where it is today. And this now is out and about and ready for your viewers to consume, buy, and critique, and even send me recommendations and reviews.
Well, sir, on that note, I'd like to ask you that what is the book based on? I mean, what is the basic content? If you can just give a brief
Yes,
intro.
yes. The book is titled Land of the Gods, The Story of Haryana. The foreword is written by Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, the principal economic advisor. The cover of the book also has a chariot, a rath. Uh, just may you would find Shri Krishna, in control of the horses, and Arjuna is sitting at back. Uh, Characteristically, and it was quite important for me also to ensure that there is Lord Hanuman's flag, जो अर्जुन के रथ पर था, very clear, because I've been a Lord Hanuman, bhakt for a long time. In fact, good 15 years now that I've been fasting every Tuesday. So, you know, that's the book, and the book essentially covers Haryana and Haryana's socio-political history from the 17th century to the 21st century. In fact, the book starts somewhere in the second half of the 17th century, where Aurangzeb had, become the Mughal emperor in India. And from there on, the book moves till the 21st century. The book begins with a story from Narnaul, which is in the southernmost part of Haryana, and ends with, a young politician, uh, Dushyant Chautala, over 6 foot tall, a giant of a man, becoming the deputy CM of Haryana in Chandigarh, which is the northernmost part of Haryana. So from there on, like the book is divided into 8 chapters. The first chapter is Jats, Sardars, and Nawabs, where I discuss, from the 17th century to, the end of the Third Battle of Panipat. The second chapter is Era of Anarchy, which is rightly named so because, this is where I discuss how Haryana was in a state of turmoil. Jadunath Sarkar also writes about this phase as Anarchy. So does William Dalrymple, whose book is titled, by the same name. From in the second chapter, basically, I discuss with different players. First chapter is where I set context into where Haryana is and who are the players in Haryana, or who are the prominent power players in Haryana, how they rise. The second chapter is about the conflicts between them. The third chapter is the first war, which is after the British had occupied the region of Haryana in 1803, if not the British, you want to call it East India Company. From there on, the journey goes to 1857, when the first War of Independence took place. Then Call for Freedom is chapter number 4, which is from 1857 to 1947, where I discuss in detail, in much detail, the struggles in Haryana during the Indian independence movement, different players, different how the politics was evolving, how democracy was evolving, how different people would engage with Haryana, or what has been, how the unionists, played politics, or how what Congress was doing. Were there any other movements, say Arya Samaj in Haryana, or how prominent its role was? Uh, then chapter number 5 is scripting the future. So it's in chapter number 5 that I established how from 1947 to 1966 there was a constant, a constant struggle of establishing the modern state of Haryana, which was separated from then joint Punjab, which was in 1966 divided. The chapter number 6 is the Three Lals, where we discuss. It starts from around 67 and it goes up to around 1980. The phase where 3 prominent Lals of Haryana were doing pretty well: Bhajanlal, Bansilal, and Devilal. Chapter number 7 is Chaudhar, because this is now chapter number 7 essentially puts basically together how there's this inherent political ambition that a lot of Haryanvis would either associate themselves with or would aspire to be political Chaudharis. So that essentially is talked about in chapter number 7, where you'd see, for political, power, different players or different politicians or different political parties would go to, do that extra mile to establish their dominance or establish their hold on power. Chapter number 8 is titled Rise and Rise, and this is where I discuss modern Haryana, 21st century Haryana, because this is when I try to premise in the book that Haryana for the first time gets into its very best. Haryanvi start, having global ambitions. Haryanvi start doing well from media, from media to sports. They do well in businesses. They do well in bureaucracy. They do well in politics, so on and so forth. So, this century that's just begun, 20, 21 years ago. this is a century of Haryana. Because prior to that, you see, Haryana has been a consequence of defending Delhi. Uh, but it is in this chapter or in this phase that finally Haryana is coming to terms with, knowing its potential. Haryanvis have understood their potential and have they now have a seemingly good exposure to take on numerous avenues and opportunities available for them just by being around uh, through well education, through opportunities, so on and so forth. So it's uh, it's discussed in chapter number 8, and then the book ends with acknowledgements. Uh, the foreword is written, as I said, by Sri Sanjeev Sanyal ji, and then there's an introduction at the beginning of just before chapter number 1, where I tell and put into context the entire book.
So it was a great introduction, sir, and I think it is going to be an interesting read. And sir, you made a remark, I mean, about Haryana, that even I had a different kind of perception about Haryana till I came to read again the literature of Sanjeev Sanyal. I came to know about Haryana, and then I ultimately researched from his book, The Land of Seven Rivers, and this changed my perception towards the state. I mean, a lot of people only knew Haryana before that, like me, for its regressiveness. I mean, the sex ratio and the khap panchayats. So all those things, Haryana was ill famous for all those things, but there are a lot more history attached to it, which you have covered in your book. So my second question, sir, to you is that Haryana, again, it has a rich history. I mean, starting from Rigvedic period, and even the Bharat, India, that is Bharat, we derive from Bharata tribe, which used to reside, which was native to that state of Haryana. But not a lot of people are aware about it. And again, thanks to our education system. So could you please shed some light on this?
Yes, so of course, let me begin by saying this. If we call India that is Bharat, if India is the center of a is a dharmic civilization, or it's an Indic civilization, it is based on two very prominent ideas. One is that at the center of this dharma, Hindu dharma, or Indic civilization, or dharmic civilization, or what we see, Hindus find, or the most revered texts of Hindus, is the Vedas. The Vedas were compiled at the banks of river Saraswati. This river Saraswati used to flow from Haryana. Two is the biggest battle between dharma and adharma. Mahabharat. Mahabharat was fought on these lands in Dharamkshetra, Kurukshetra. So, and I do not say this lightly. See, the Vedic civilization or Indic civilization finds its origin here. And then the defense or defending that civilization or defending those ideas of those civilization also have historical or history associated in this region. That is why the center of this Indic civilization has been Haryana. However, it has not gotten its due. And when I say so, I'm clearly aware, that people might find this idea surprising, but the word, the name of the country, Bharat, is named after the tribe which was, living on these lands. I'd like to, read a passage from the book to give a greater idea, a better idea to your viewers. So, in the beginning of the book, says Sanjeev Sanyal, Many modern day Indians think of Haryana as a relatively small state that derives disproportionate importance from its proximity to the national capital. There is a common impression, sadly shared even by some Haryanvis, that the state is just the outcome of linguistic reorganization that led to it being carved out of East Punjab in 1966. In other words, it is assumed that Haryana does not have deep cultural roots that give states like, say, Gujarat, Bengal, or Tamil Nadu a distinct identity. Therefore, it may come as a surprise to many that the small territory has not merely been a distinct region from ancient times, but has provided Indian civilization with both a template and an indigenous name, Bharata. He continues, the Rig Veda also mentions a sacred territory called Sapt Sindhu or land of the seven rivers. The text does not name the seven rivers except that Saraswati is one of them. Many historians assume that the seven rivers include Indus, the five rivers of Punjab, and the Saraswati. This would be a very large area. However, a closer reading of the Rig Veda shows that Sapt Sindhu only related to the Saraswati and its own tributaries. This would be a relatively small area between the dry riverbeds of the Ghaggar and the Chautang, that is roughly modern Haryana. So why was the Sapt Sindhu important to the Vedic people? The reason is that it was the homeland of the Bharat tribe that compiled the Rig Veda. The text also tells us of an important political event that is the earliest known event of Indian history. We do not have dates, but at some point in the early Bronze Age, the Bharatas were attacked from the west by a coalition of 10 tribes. Led by the chieftain Sudas and his guru Rishi Vashishta, the Bharat army crossed the Saraswati and crushed the 10 tribes on the banks of the Ravi. Somewhat later, Sudas also defeated a chieftain Beda on the Yamuna. Thus, the Bharatas came to possess the first known empire of ancient India. And who were the Bharatas? The Bharatas were, as I said, the first Vedic people who lived on the banks of river Saraswati, and Saraswati, which flowed through Haryana. And not just that, and when I talk about, Saraswati, it's very easy to, I've given multiple talks on the same topic. It's very easy to relate or find origins of Saraswati from Haryana. And quite often, what we refer as Indus Valley Civilization or Sindhu Sabhyata should well be referred as Sindhu Saraswati Civilization. This idea is also written about, this idea has been written about particularly by Sanjeev Sanyal again. And Mitchell Danino also works on his book and tries to mark the entire trajectory. And in fact, many workers, many researchers have worked upon it. And, it's rather surprising and, funny how a mere mention of Saraswati or Saraswati civilization, people don't want to, or many people or, opponents, pass casual remarks or uninformed remarks. And, so much so that they don't want to indulge into a civil debate. That's not good also because, finding or doing research on Saraswati is a scientific, endeavor. And there are many research centers and many people who have invested in, working on River Saraswati. Don't discredit the work, have a civil debate, discuss things, see how it goes so far, or, how it goes further.
Yeah, sir. This is a problem of our society nowadays, basically, that in spite of, debating, which had been our culture, we try to cancel each other. That is something we should avoid. And
certainly, this culture of cancellation has been pretty bad. This has always been a culture of Varta, the culture of that debates, and debate discussion should always be pushed and promoted. Yes.
Yeah, sir. My third question would be that Haryana has always been, it has been a rich state in ancient Rigvedic period. But then came a time, starting from Kurukshetra, it became a battleground for various powers to contest. Kurukshetra in ancient period, Panipat, Karnal in medieval period. So what is there in this land that so many battles are fought, and why it is so important for central powers?
So see, first let's talk about, so the early Vedic literature talks about Saraswati flowing at, a great potential. It's one of the best rivers. It has a tremendous flow. It's full of, knowledge, wisdom, and water, and all those things. Many other things are said about Saraswati in the early Vedic literature. However, by the time of, excuse me, later Vedic literature, something started to change. The Saraswati river started slowly drying up. As a consequence of drying up of the river, the soil in Haryana, or the land of Haryana, started becoming, could possibly be becoming arid or semi-arid, and what it is now, arid, semi-arid. In fact, a lot of change has brought about, in the recent times through the canal network system in Haryana. But, still say 50 years ago, Haryana was a very semi-arid or arid land. Now, and as a consequence, slowly and slowly, Haryana started, from being a green or, lush forest, its geography started changing. Another thing that happened was during the medieval times, attackers, invaders from the west or northwest started to come into India. Why were they coming into India? Because they wanted some authority over the glorious lands of Delhi. Delhi has been a fascinating city for long. And this is when I'm talking about the medieval India. But in order to reach Delhi, prominent routes would go through Haryana. In fact, people would either come to Punjab and then they'll enter Haryana, or one could enter Haryana from Sirsa, Fatehabad side, and then converge towards Delhi. In both these cases, for the invaders, for the raiders, the journey naturally went through the lands of Haryana. And in order to defend Delhi, one would have to step out of Delhi and give a battle to these invaders. As a consequence, key battles have been fought on these lands. And all those battles were essentially for the defense of Delhi. There's a commonly said Prithviraj Chauhan defeated, I believe Muhammad Ghori in the first battle of Tarain. Tarain is actually Taraudi, which is very close to district, or it's part of district Karnal, and it's very close to city Karnal. And Karnal is around 120-25 kilometers from Delhi. Similarly, Ambala region, Shahabad region, Taraudi, Karnal, Panipat, Sonipat, Hisar, they've all seen tremendous conflicts with people, with in defense from these, in defense of Delhi, or, in conflicts with these attackers. So Haryana, which was, like I previously said, it was a center of Indic civilization, and ended up becoming a battleground of civilizations, where, in the early medieval phase, India was more or less, because Islam was then not a very, followed religion in India. Followers of Islam would come to, or would want to have a serious authority over Delhi. And Delhi in those days was being ruled by, people who were more or less proponents of Hinduism. And then this conflict would happen, this so-called jihad would happen. Islamists would carry on their jihad, and in defense of all those things, in defense of Delhi, battles would happen in all these regions. In fact, I've written in the book how Nadir Shah came to India. So Nadir Shah is, Nadir Shah fought a high-pitched battle in Karnal, and in his memoirs, and in fact, a biography written by him, I think Michael Axford or somebody has written a biography of Nadir Shah, which essentially details the trajectory he followed. So from Lahore, He came to Ambala, Shabad, then Taraudi, then he camped near Kunjpura, and then the opposition or the defenses were camped in Karnal, and how the battle happened. So this essentially has happened because there could be there are definitely other reasons too, because Nadir Shah was also attacked India for not just one reason, but there were multiple reasons. But in any case, Haryana ended up becoming a battleground, and that is what changed this entire region, because uh, people who would otherwise be living in villages had to either defend themselves, leave their lands, leave their possessions, and go to some other place to defend themselves or their families, or there was just too much turmoil on these lands. Like I said, anarchy all over. So that's happened in Haryana in medieval ages.
Okay, so
And these lands, of course, I do not, administratively, all these lands during the Mughal age, because whatever the seat of power is, the immediate vicinity is usually under the control of the emperor. So majority of these lands, or major of these lands, were in firm control of the Mughals during the Mughal age. The Sultanate also. So yes.